The Scorpion's Bite by Aileen G. Barron. Chapter 1. The three of them sat in the shade of the jeep, mouths dry, throats heavy with the scorching air, seared by relentless heat, huddled close, but still not completely sheltered from the unforgiving sun. They were almost out of water, just a few drops in their canteens and in the canvas bag hanging limp on the side of the jeep. They were in the Wadi Rum, stuck there with a broken axle. Lilly, with Gideon Weil, director of the American School in Jerusalem, and their photographer, Klaus Steiner, doing an archaeological survey of Transjordan for the OSS. And Lilly had no idea why. Last March, more than 3 months after the Allies took North Africa in Operation Torch, General Donovan appeared in Casablanca looking for Lilly Sampson. This time, she thought Wild Bill Donovan was going to tell her to go back south, past Marrakesh and Volubilis into sub-Saharan Africa. Instead, he sent her back to Jerusalem, told her to be ready in 24 hours. She was used to this from Donovan. She left Morocco the next morning at 10 o'clock, flying out of the Naval Air Base at Port Lyautey. She landed at Colundia, the small airport north of Jerusalem, and took a taxi to the American School of Oriental Research, where Gideon Weil, the director, was waiting for her. Gideon had once been on the cover of Time magazine, in all the glory of his dark good looks and his roguish smile, sitting atop a camel like a Bedouin. He wore a keffiyeh with a dashing tilt. He told her they were going to do an archaeological survey of Transjordan. He had been working on the survey since before the war, had already published 2 volumes of research. Klaus Steiner, a refugee from Hitler's Germany, caught up with them in Jericho. Steiner sported an ascot, a very British blonde mustache, a scar on his left cheek, and a gold-capped canine tooth that glinted when he smiled. He told them he had been assigned to them as photographer. The 3 of them crossed the Jordan at Allenby Bridge and spent the next month traipsing up and down the ancient King's Highway, visiting cities of the Roman Decapolis. Lilly felt superfluous. They spent a week mapping Jerash, ancient Gerasa. It had been mapped before. It had been dug 10 years ago. In the midst of the ruins of Jerash, they passed a fellow with an ox and an ass yoked together and pulling a plow. Gideon pointed out that in Deuteronomy, it was forbidden to yoke them together like that. Klaus rolled his eyes to the sky in a show of impatience with Gideon quoting the Bible. When they reached Amman, Gideon set Lilly and Klaus to mapping and photographing remains of the well-documented Roman theater, while he made a courtesy call on His Highness Emir Abdullah. That afternoon, Gideon told them they were going to Wadi Rum and then on to Petra to meet someone. Now they sat stranded in the Wadi Rum, where tall sandstone cliffs rear straight up like cathedrals, like castles of the mind. When they first reached Wadi Rum, they had stopped the jeep and sucked in their breath, awed by its grandeur. The pink sand, the clean stillness in the air, the high red cliffs echoing silence. Red, Gideon had said. The color of Edom is red. Ruddy like Esau, the father of the Edomites, who sold his birthright to Jacob for a mess of red lentils. And Klaus rolled his eyes again. Today was a lost cause. They had to stick to the track that ran through the wadi without a clue to the whereabouts of either archaeological sites or the Bedouin camps. They were looking for both. Their Bedouin guide, Qasim, had vanished this morning and left them to fend for themselves. Last night, as they had every night, they sat around the campfire in the cool desert air, breathing the perfume of the desert and the pungent odor of wormwood and tamarisk, watching the firelight flicker on Qasim's face as he told them tales of his family, of the tribe of the Hawetat, tales of raiding for sheep and camels, of noble gestures. They sat, warmed by the crackle of the fire, with sparks flying upward into the night of brilliant stars, and listened to his stories of how the greedy Saudis, craving power and drunk with religious fervor, raided his people, impoverished them, and how the British betrayed them and sided with the Saudis.